We cannot rule out the possibility that Donald Trump may be president until he dies. And I don't just mean in this current term. He said as recently as just yesterday that he would not rule out being president for a third term. Of course, that is unconstitutional, but his workaround is that he could become vice president and then become president again. So just because you may think he's kidding around or he's joking or whatever it is, you must take this seriously. There is no founded reason to actually believe that Donald Trump would not continue to try to be president until the end of his days. He is addicted to power. He is also not interested in going to prison for all of the crimes that he's committed. So once again, we all warned everyone that Donald Trump may very well try to remain in power endlessly. And here he is, as recently as just yesterday, acknowledging it.
Donald Trump asked the press corps to help him get in touch with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un after he said, hey, we're going to be in South Korea anyways, and I really respect the guy and I would like to meet with him, but he has horrible cell phone service. So can you guys reach out to him and let him know I want to meet with him? He says that he has a lot of nuclear weapons, but he also has a lot of sanctions, and that's what I would offer him is fewer sanctions. So Donald Trump is now saying that he highly respects the North Korean dictator. He wants to meet with him, and he'll ease sanctions. Now, he didn't say what he wanted from North Korea in return for easing those sanctions, but it's likely that it's somewhere along their nuclear program. But Donald Trump being so misguided that he thinks that the press corps at the White House can get in touch with the North Korean leader when one of his 80,000 diplomatic staff can't, I'm not sure that this guy's in the right place anymore.
All right, Trump supporters, this whole government shutdown is absolutely getting out of control. We are losing SNAP benefits for kids and families that need it, but we're sending $40 billion to another country. We're spending $200 million in another country. We're also requesting $230 million for Donald Trump per our government and our tax dollars for what his damages, what damages did he suffer? He got what he wanted. But we're going to take away the things that kids needs. It's unbelievable. It's the kids. And it shows you how this man don't give a shit about you people. And you still voted for him. You guys are fools. I just want you to know that right up front. You're fools for voting for this man. You thought he was some Christian man and he goes on Air Force One and says that he's not going to heaven. He said he was going to lower groceries and he didn't. He said he was going to lower housing and he didn't. The national car average is 50 grand. Rents are still going up. This is nothing no more than a playground. And you fools, again, stand behind this man. You people don't deserve to be called Americans because you're hurting the kids. You're hurting people in this country that are trying to make it or trying to get ahead. It's your fault because you're so incompetent. You don't know how to vote, or I guess you don't know how to read, or you don't know how to do research on what you're doing, and you fall for dumb shit like this. Grow the fuck up.
There are so many things that you learn as a teacher, and one of those things is to not tell people to do something if you are not going to enforce it, if you don't have a way to enforce it, if you don't have a reasonable expectation that they're going to listen and follow instructions when you tell them what to do. When you look at this headline here with Trump telling Putin to end the war, it just looks like weakness to me. Number one, because this isn't the first time that he said it, and let's not forget that he said he was going to end the war on day one of his second term in office. It's not going to happen. Putin is not going to listen to Donald Trump when Donald Trump says, end this war. Now, that's not to say that Donald Trump couldn't do something significant if he really wanted to enforce that if he really wanted to follow through on it, there are things he could do that might make Putin regret not wrapping up the war. But even that is no guarantee. So I don't know. Some people see strength in this leadership. Time and again, I just see weakness. Weakness, foolishness, incompetence. But okay, that's your guy.
The president had an MRI at Walter Reed recently because he's had a stroke, a series of TIAs, and now I suspect, he has the beginning stages of Alzheimer's. I'm a physical therapist with a doctorate in my field and 14 years experience treating patients who are geriatric, just like the president, and a lot of Congress.
Did you get an MRI? Can you tell us what that
did.
was?
I got an MRI. It was perfect. Yeah. I mean, I gave you the full results. We had an MRI, and in the machine, the whole thing, and it was perfect. Yeah.
Did you say what in particular?
You could ask the doctors. Nobody has ever given you reports like I gave you. And if I didn't think it was going to be good, either I would let you know negatively, I wouldn't run, I'd do something. But the doctor said some of the best reports for the age, some of the best reports they've ever seen.
Admitting that he had an MRI is a massive messaging mistake. As soon as he starts to get into the particulars of his medical workup at Walter Reed, he's endangering the charade that his doctors and his closest advisors are keeping up about his health. Once again, Trump cannot just shut the fuck up. We could infer from the statement from his personal physician that he did have an MRI, which would likely indicate that he had a stroke around Labor Day. But now admitting it openly and then lying that it was perfect is such a stupid move on his part.
AOC's low IQ. You give her an IQ test, have her pass like the exams that I decided to take when I was at Walter Reed. Those are very hard, they're really aptitude tests, I guess, in a certain way, but they're cognitive tests. Let AOC go against Trump.
Everything I've seen with him has pointed me towards having a stroke or a stroke-like event. But when he started bragging about the cognitive assessment, now I'm thinking he might be dealing with Alzheimer's dementia. And remember, his father passed away from it, so the family history component is there. Then I remembered MRIs are also used to track the progression of Alzheimer's. He mistakenly talks about an Alzheimer's workup as if it's testing for intelligence or overall aptitude. It's never been used to do that. It's made to sniff out whether or not somebody has dementia or Alzheimer's. So now, in addition to stroke-like symptoms, he may also be dealing with Alzheimer's. 25th Amendment is right around the corner, folks. And overall, considering all his health issues and his horrible diet, I'd say he's got 5 to 7 months left with us. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
Hello and good morning. In today's episode of As the White Hood Turns, that lady over there has launched a new set of Christmas ornaments. We know how she feels about Christmas, right? Fuck Christmas. Anywho, people are a little upset that in these hard economic times that she's out here trying to sell Christmas ornaments that are they are between $75 and $90. Republicans is making it hard for people to even buy Christmas turkey, ham, corned beef, whatever the hell it is you want to eat, but yet this hoe is out here selling ornaments. And then critics are saying that all she did was take the ones that she tried to sell the last time and repaint them into bright colors. They are actually too expensive. So now, one of the comments I saw said that the ornaments were god-awful ugly. Now, we all remember how she did the White Hood that one time when she had all them damn trees and it looked like, what was that, the Red Wedding from Game of Thrones? Anywho, I love this for her. I love it. I love it. Don't nobody like you. Don't nobody like your husband. And don't nobody like them goddamn ugly ass ornaments you trying to sell. Because, girl, people can barely eat. Kaylee McEnany over here telling people to just eat hamburger helper. You got maggots over here losing their mind because they about to lose their farms. They about ain't got no Medicaid. I'm just keep telling y'all. Y'all be worried about the wrong thing. But anyway, I hope she sells absolutely everyone that she has to all y'all dumb maggot ass that's gonna buy it anyway. Okay. Bye.
I did. I got an MRI. It was perfect. Yep. I mean, I gave you the full results. We had an MRI, and in the machine, the whole thing, and it was perfect. Yep.
Did you say what in particular?
You could ask the doctors. In fact, we have doctors traveling with us, but I think they gave you a very conclusive. Nobody has ever given you reports like I gave you. And if I didn't think it was going to be good, either I would let you know negatively, I wouldn't run, I'd do something. But the doctor said some of the best reports for the age, some of the best reports they've ever seen.
Except Donald Trump did not release the results of his MRI. In fact, we just found out that he got an MRI as part of his second routine physical exam of the year yesterday on Air Force One. And I thought maybe I missed it. So I went back and looked at the memorandum that Caroline Leavitt released after his physical exam in September, and they made no reference to an MRI. Now, they did make reference to advanced diagnostic imaging, which could include an MRI, but they didn't specifically mention the MRI. And the interesting thing is that back in his April physical exam, the first one he had this year, they did mention specific imaging that he received. They mentioned that he had a CAT scan of his chest, which showed normal lungs. They mentioned that he had an echocardiogram, which is an ultrasound of the heart, which showed normal ejection fraction, normal cardiac function. They mentioned that he had carotid Dopplers, which are ultrasounds of the major arteries in your neck to make sure that there's no narrowing or blockages which might cause a stroke. They mentioned that he had a colonoscopy the year prior, which showed diverticulosis and a benign polyp. And when he was diagnosed with chronic venous insufficiency, the swelling of his legs and ankles, he got ultrasounds of his legs to make sure there were no blood clots. So they have mentioned in the past when the president has received diagnostic imaging, and they mentioned the specific imaging and the findings. So it's just interesting why they didn't mention the MRI and the findings in this most recent one. And it's important to note that this most recent physical exam, they didn't release the full results. They just released a memorandum, sort of a summary saying, hey, everything looks good. He's fit to serve as commander-in-chief. So I looked back through his prior physical exam, the one he had in April of this year. Did a deep dive, looked at like all the lab work and the diagnostic imaging he had and the physical exam results to see, as a doctor, was there anything abnormal that might warrant an MRI, that might say, this guy should get an MRI. And there was nothing. In fact, everything looked really good for a nearly 80-year-old man. Nothing that would make me as a physician say, hey, I think this guy needs an MRI. So it's interesting why they ordered an MRI this time, because an MRI is not part of a routine physical exam, right? It's advanced imaging that you need for a specific purpose. Now, again, I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist here, so don't get me wrong. There is a growing fad amongst the ultra wealthy and famous people to get full body screening MRIs, just like head to toe MRI, just to find something, just in case you have something brewing in the background, you want to get it early. The thing is, it's not evidence-based and it's not recommended practice by any major medical association. But that being said, like celebrities do it, Kim Kardashian did it, so maybe the president did that. Couple of things though, if it was just a routine screening MRI and they didn't find anything, then mention that, right? Say, hey, the president had a diagnostic screening MRI and the results are as follows. But I just find that a little interesting because there have been studies of these screening MRIs, particularly this one, which found that in almost 100% of the people who got those screening MRIs, like 99% of them, there was an abnormality found. There was an incidental finding found, because that's why we don't recommend them routinely, because when you scan someone, you're going to find something, right? And an incidental finding means like it's like a renal cyst or something that doesn't really matter. It's just an incidental finding that doesn't warrant further workup. But because we found it, then we have to work it up, right? Okay, well, you have this renal cyst or you have this little splotch somewhere on an organ that we now have to biopsy. So it's interesting that he said his results were perfect, because statistically speaking, if you scan an 80-year-old body in an MRI, you are going to find something. Almost 100% of the time, you are going to find something. It is not going to be perfect. You're going to find some non-incidental finding that would warrant further workup. So I don't know. I think in the effort of him being the most transparent president in the history of the United States, I think he should release the results of this MRI, what kind of MRI and the findings, so that the rest of us in the American public can see that he is indeed fit to serve as president of the United States.
If a government must raise its sword against its people, it has already fallen in spirit. It has already declared itself the enemy of those it swore to serve. No free nation truly governed by consent has ever needed to use its military against its own. The moment it does, it ceases to be a republic and becomes something far older and much darker, a kingdom of fear pretending to be democracy. A government that acts in the best interest of its citizenry does not have to prepare to crush rebellion. It seeks to understand what drove its people to anger in the first place. It does not post armored vehicles in the streets or unleash hired thugs with riot shields and batons. It opens its ears and its doors and its heart. No truly great and successful leader has ever been afraid of retribution from the governed. The greatest among them, Washington, FDR, Mandela, all stood unarmed before their people, not because they were naive, but because they understood that real power does not come from force, it comes from trust. Tyrants sleep with guards at their doors, mirrors on every wall, because they are haunted by the ghosts of their own lies. They cannot look at the faces of the hungry and unafraid without feeling the weight of that betrayal, but a leader of a free people does not need protection from the truth. The true measure of liberty is not how a government handles peace, but in how it handles dissent. To punish protest is to confess guilt. To silence criticism is to prove weakness. When the powerful turn their armies inward, they are no longer defending a nation. They are defending their own illusion of control. They are not protecting democracy. They are burying it under the boots of the very soldiers sworn to defend it. History is merciless to those that forget this. The tanks that roll through the streets, the secret police that drag students from their homes, the tear gas that chokes the air of any capital city that calls itself free, these are not signs of strength. They are monuments to cowardice. If a leader fears his people, he should ask himself why. If a government plans for rebellion, it should ask itself what it has done to deserve one. No empire has ever survived the day its citizens realized they were not free. If you have to gash your people to govern them, you are not a leader, you are an occupier. If you have to hire mercenaries to keep the peace, you are not keeping peace, you are declaring war. And if you have to call your citizens enemies to keep your throne, then your reign is already over, you just don't know it yet. No tyrant survives the whisper of truth carried on the breath of a free people. No army, no propaganda, no holy lie can stop the moment when a nation remembers what it was meant to be. Because you can kill the protester, not the protest. You can silence the voice, but not the idea. And whether you like it or not, we are all Americans, every single one of us. We all won the same lottery of birth the day we were born. And no matter what side of the yard sign you vote on, Democrat, Republican, Independent, Green, Libertarian, whatever shade of conviction you wear, you are still bound by the same dirt and sky. The promise of America was never meant to belong to a party. It belongs to the people. All of us. Your party doesn't own this country because it won an election. It merely holds the keys for a little while. Trusted to drive the thing with care and bring it back in one piece. The presidency isn't a crown, it's a borrowed tool. Congress isn't a court, it's a temporary assembly of servants. And if they forget that, then it falls to the rest of us to remind them who they work for. This republic was not founded to serve the victors. It was built to protect the governed. All of them, the farmer, the teacher, the union man and the small business owner, the preacher, the poet, and the quiet souls who still believe that truth matters more than spin. So whether you fly your flag upside down or hang it from a porch or burn the damn thing, it is still yours. It is ours. So let them argue and divide, and let the partisans claim righteousness and pretend their party is America itself. But the truth is much simpler and older than all of them. This nation belongs to the governed, not the governors. And now, more than ever, is the time to remember that. Defiance till death.
Welcome to We Told You So, episode 164. I don't know what you guys look like when you get out of bed, but me, I'm bringing sexy back. People like myself have been shouting since Trump's first administration, that tariffs and trade wars just jack up the prices here on us at home. Meanwhile, he and his gullible voters seem to think that tariffs are the magical answer for everything. In fact, the tariffs in his first administration put such a strain on farmers that he had to bail them out for billions of dollars. Now they're saying they need to be bailed out for even more. And Trump said he would love to do that, but he can't because it's on delay because of the shutdown. The shutdown that he and the Republicans caused by trying to take away health care from people, which the Democrats have said is a red line. With the plan that Trump and the Republicans are trying to implement, people's health care costs are going to fucking skyrocket. But now Trump is also not just screwing over soybean farmers, he's now screwing over the beef farmers. Remember when everyone on the right was so pissed off because Fox News told you that Joe Biden was coming for your gas stoves and your burgers? Well, because of these tariffs, the price on beef has gone up about 20%, because manufacturers are now boosting up their prices because of the tariffs. And Trump's answer is to say fuck the American beef farmers and just start importing more beef from Argentina. And all of these Trump-humping farmers are now like, wait a minute, aren't we making America great again? No, you're making Argentina great again, because you're all fucking gullible morons. Meanwhile, Robert Reich pointed out that the people who donated for Trump's expensive ballroom are people like Google and Palantir, people who directly have profited or will profit off of Trump's bullshit. Once again, for the people in the MAGA who claimed for years that they cared so much about insider trading going on in Congress, they don't care when their God King does it and when he blatantly robs the American fucking people. Much like how he wants to take $200 million of taxpayer money and have the DOJ pay him that money because of all of the indictments that he received, because he's that much of a fucking vengeful crybaby. And while this is not directly political, Europol recently took down a massive sim farming network that was powering 49 million fake online accounts. This is one of the many ways that the rich people in this country control the narrative. How many of these millions of fake accounts are actually moonlighting as Trump supporters? How many of them are pro-Russia bots? We have to remember that millions of the people online that we supposedly engage with are not real people. They're just phantoms that are made to make us believe that we are the minority and that the psychopaths are the majority, when in reality there's far fewer of them than we think, which unfortunately is what helps shape the narrative from the people on the right, that they think that Donald Trump is some massive job creator, when Barack Obama actually created nearly 12 million jobs during his time in office, and with the 400,000 measly jobs that Trump has created in 9 months, he's still at a net negative 2.3 million. MAGA is still celebrating Trump as a job creator when he has done nothing but lose American jobs. And yet these people who have to keep trying to convince themselves they are patriots have no problem with Donald Trump destroying the White House that has been a symbol of our country for hundreds of years. And while he and his syphilitic sycophants claim that he's going to be president in 2028 whether we like it or not, and it's against the fucking Constitution. All because they subscribe to that stupid originalist Constitution bullshit saying that everything since the Reconstruction era is invalidated, because everything boils down to their 200-year-old axe to grind that they lost the Civil War. And ironically, while Trump is on his revenge tour of trying to get back at all of the people who called him out for being a criminal and a bully, let us not forget that the rich asshole tyrant version of Biff Tannen in Back to the Future was modeled after Donald Trump. Thomas F. Wilson, who played Biff Tannen in the series, said that he's since been reached out to by bullies, people who have been forced in their lives as an adult to go out and apologize to people and realize that the things that they have done have made them who they are and what they have to do to make amends. Thomas F. Wilson in real life is actually a hell of a guy. But this is where art and reality differ, because don't expect Donald Trump to ever apologize for any of the horrible things he has ever done in his fucking life. This has been We Told You So. I'm really hoping this regime ends before it ends me.